What a wild week of weather we have underway. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for clicking on my Weather Extra. It really is a dynamic week, and you gotta have a respect for Mother Nature in a week like this. Let's remember, we went over 8 days without even touching the freezing mark here in Portland. We finally did that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday. And just a day later, tonight in fact, we just broke a daily record high temperature, topping out at 50 degrees, and the temps are still rising. So the big story tonight, obviously the warm temperatures. We have the rain, the drizzle, the fog, a steadier rainfall later on tonight. The wind is going to lead headlines by tomorrow morning. It stays very windy all day tomorrow. In fact, power outages are possible with winds gusting 45 to 55 miles per hour. And by this time tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, we could be looking at a little bit of light snow on the western slopes in some of the notches in the mountains. And I was thinking about this weather pattern. I'm laying in bed this morning thinking about this weather pattern, and it reminded me of a very similar weather setup that occurred 12 years ago. And the reason I remember that, I was working up at the Mount Washington Observatory. At the time, we had a daily record high temperature of somewhere in the 30s, I think. Then 24 hours later, it went down to negative 25 or negative 28 degrees or something like that. But I do remember the exact wind gust. We had a peak wind gust of 145 miles per hour. And it is a similar setup. I couldn't find the exact surface analysis, but I found the HPC forecast manual panels. And area of low pressure from that day, again, this February 9th, 2001. Forecast the area of low pressure in the Great Lakes, strong cold front with a severe weather breaking out ahead of it, some icing occurring here in northern New England that would have been comparable to the freezing rain, of course, that we had last night. Not the exact same setup, but very similar. Very strong cold front, a lot of warm air followed by very cold air. So I tracked down actually some of the home video that we shot from that day. This was February 10th in 2001. To be exact. This was the haze chart that the Mount Washington Observatory uses to record wind speeds, and that ink right there, the penned ink, indicates some of the peak wind gusts. When it gets up to that line right in there, that means the winds are getting up to about 140 miles per hour, and then you need to shift it over to another chart. This is some video from one of my shift mates. His name is Brian Post. We were getting winds sustained of 100 to 120, maybe 125 miles per hour, but the winds were gusting to about 130, 135 miles per hour during this period. And he went for a little bit of a ride on that. That's at the Mount Washington Observatory observation deck up at the Mount Washington State Park. I always wanted to show this piece of video to the folks at the National Weather Service. A lot goes into taking the weather observations up at Mount Washington. That would be me trying to get the precipitation can on a day, or that day in fact, where the winds were sustained over 100 miles per hour, gusting to about 130 miles per hour. So a little bit of a challenge to get that precip can back. I believe after measuring, it was only like a quarter of an inch of snow or something like that. And to be honest with you, we probably weren't even measuring the snow correctly because the wind was coming sideways. I checked out the data from Portland from that date, February 9th and 10th. We had a high temperature in Portland close to 50 degrees that day, and the following day we had a high temperature in Portland close to 18 degrees. Not the same setup, but a very similar setup. Either way, we have some wind to talk about tonight. Enough with that. High wind warnings have been issued by the National Weather Service from 10 o'clock tonight until 5 o'clock in the morning. I think the winds will really start to ramp up during the morning hours tomorrow. This is run off of a model, a forecast model we run in-house here. These are sustained winds, and I think these might be a little bit overdone. I think we'll have sustained winds probably around 25 to 35 miles per hour, but it gets the general idea. Through 8 o'clock in the morning, it's somewhere in here we'll probably have our peak wind gusts. Then it will slowly decline a little bit. I still think we're going to have wind gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour throughout the early afternoon tomorrow. So it's going to be a windy day, entire day tomorrow. And again, there could be some of those power outages with gusts 45 to 55 miles per hour. We start with the south wind tonight, we shift to the southwest, and eventually we shift to the west during the course of the day tomorrow. Here's that buff kit profile I showed you from yesterday. Again, this is a timeline from right to left. Here we are late tonight. This is actually 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. This is 1 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow as well. What I do want to draw your attention to is something that you very rarely see. Right here is a 105 knot low-level jet. That is a very strong wind, 105 knots at only 5,000 feet in elevation. Now, it's interesting. You know what's at 5,000 or 6,000 feet in elevation? the Mount Washington Observatory. So I feel confident they're going to get at least sustained winds of, probably 100, 110 miles an hour, and they'll probably have wind gusts. If it works out, they can shift the wind over the west enough, they'll probably get wind gusts around 140 miles per hour. So we'll see. I'm pulling for them tomorrow. This is based on a grid in Portland, though. Again, you get that low-level jet tomorrow morning around 7 o'clock or so. Now, the good news here is a lot of that won't mix down to the ground. The only thing that can mix that down to the ground would be a thunderstorm or some sort of convection or something like that. What you see right here, that is what we call the mixing layer, and theoretically anything under the mixing layer can mix down to the ground. There are some 35s and 40s in there, so we could see a few wind gusts probably around 40 to 50 miles per hour through the morning tomorrow, and there could be a few wind gusts upwards of 55 miles per hour. Notice what happens behind the front. As the front moves out around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, the mixing layer really shoots up here, so our atmosphere becomes more mixed up, and we're able to tap into some of these stronger winds aloft. We're not going to be able to tap into that low-level jet, but we'll be able to tap into some of these 45 and 50-knot winds. So that's why I think that the winds will stay strong, gusting to 40 to 50 right throughout the entire day. In fact, this is 8 o'clock in the evening on Thursday. I think we'll continue to have some very strong winds right throughout the entire day. Tomorrow, in fact, right through tomorrow night, the winds will stay very active. In addition to the wind, we have some fog out there tonight. A dense fog advisory has been issued until midnight. Fog right now reducing visibility down to about half-mile here in Lewiston, Augusta. It's getting a little bit better here in Portland. We had half-mile visibility earlier on this evening, but as the winds pick up and the rain starts to move in, I think that fog will start to lift. The other big story is a flood watch. The National Weather Service has issued this flood watch for the mountains. Of course, we have snow melt, we have rain on the way, temperatures are warm, so ice jams will become an issue, and the time frame for that will be midnight through Thursday afternoon. Now, it is 50 degrees, a new daily record high temperature here in Portland, but those of you in the Sebago Lake region, you saying, Charlie, what the heck are you talking about? The warm air has not made its way inland, for some inland towns anyway. Mike in North Sebago is reporting 35, Cornish 34, 39 there in Lewiston. Let's take a little tour. Look at Sanford. Holy Toledo, 54 degrees in Sanford. Wow. Lower 50s from Bath over to New Harbor. Some areas up into central Maine are running the 40s right now. Normal high temperature for the state is in the lower 30s. Of course, it's very warm, and these temperatures tomorrow night will be dipping into the 30s. Areas in the mountains are in the 30s and 40s. Even Mount Washington is near 40 degrees. So a wild setup across the board here. There is a cold front. Remember that area of low pressure I was telling you about? Moving up through the Great Lakes. Strong cold front that extends all the way down through the deep south and the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of severe weather occurred yesterday up in the Midwest, and today, of course, severe weather occurring down in the south. This was the scene down in Georgia, just one of the tornadoes that they caught on film today. Down in Georgia. So this one producing severe weather as the warm air and the cold air collide. That's what Mother Nature is producing to our south. Now the good news, I don't anticipate any of the severe weather that there is occurring, or that is occurring to our south up here. Instead, we'll just have some rain and very strong winds. There's the chance for an embedded thunderstorm, but I don't anticipate any severe thunderstorms here. This is actually midnight or so. We're looking at some rain over northern zones, temps running the 50s. Let's take you to about 6 o'clock in the morning. The front is right in here, I believe. Temps are running the 50s still during this period. Now, this is probably when the winds really start ramping up. First, they ramp up out of the southwest, and then they'll shift over to the west. The front moves through probably around 7 o'clock or so in the morning. By 10 o'clock, the last of the rain is moving out. Temps still near 50 degrees, so we're warmest during the morning. It's very windy during the morning. The winds shift over to the west, and it stays very windy during the afternoon as well. Notice 4 o'clock in the afternoon, temps falling through the 30s, and then the snow showers get going in the mountains. As we head into Friday, I think temps struggle to get out of the 20s for highs. So we're going to go from lower 50s tonight to 20s for highs on Friday. By Saturday morning, we'll be in the single digits, and wind chill values will probably be below zero. Exciting week of weather, if you ask me. Now to the winds. Remember, we have a south wind at 2 o'clock in the morning, a stiff south-southwest wind. Again, this is run off of that model. I think is a little overdone. Sustained winds are probably around 20 to 30 miles per hour, 25 to 35 miles per hour. And this takes us through 7 o'clock in the morning, probably our peak winds right as the front moves through. Something we need to watch will be if a thunderstorm can transport some of that wind down to the ground. I don't think we're going to see that, but something we need to monitor. As we head throughout the day, the winds shift over to the west behind the cold front. The winds stay very active. Sustained winds probably around 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts 40 to 50 miles per hour right through early afternoon. Here's that 7-day forecast. The steadies of the rainfall comes to an end during the morning. I think we see a little bit of sun tomorrow, particularly during the afternoon. The wind will lead headlines, though. Power outages are possible. Strongest winds during the morning through early afternoon tomorrow. High temps near 50 during the morning. Temps falling late in the day. Friday and Saturday, a mixture of sun and clouds. There's the chance for a few snow showers, especially in the mountains. The mountains will get some light accumulations, western slopes and notches, but even closer to the coastline, there's the chance for snow showers on Saturday. Temps in the 20s for highs, overnight lows dipping into the single digits. Wind chill values will be below zero again. As we head into Sunday, there's the chance for a little bit of snow that day, and if you're looking for snow, there's a chance for more snow on Tuesday as well. There's your inland forecast. Not much of a change there. So get ready for a wild ride. That's the way things look tonight. I hope everyone has a nice night. I'm going to have another update coming up on News 13 at 11. Have a good one.